Hello everyone, it is Craig. It has been a long time since I've created a video or a tutorial, but I was in the middle of editing an aerial image or specifically, making that kind of shadow effect and adding the boundary line. So I thought I would just record my screen and explain what I'm doing in hopes it can help somebody else. And so when I deliver or when I capture aerial images of lots, I actually deliver 3 images. More than that, but typically per scene, it will be about 3 images. Basically, we start with the original image, how it looks like. I step it up a notch by adding the boundary line. And from there, I like to do kind of this shadow box feature on the aerial images to kind of enhance it a bit to show just the property and desaturate everything that's around the property here. And so I am actually going to show you how to quickly and easily make these effects on your aerial images. So this one's done. This photo's ready to hit Lightroom to get the photo edited and all that jazz. So we can go ahead and start on this one right here. Here's from the same, property, just in a different angle. And so the first thing I like to do is start with the boundary line. And so what we can do here is just on the menu bar, go ahead and click your pen tool. Just click your pen tool and just rough draft where the lines will be. And the reason why I say that, because don't spend too much time making them perfect, because I'm going to show you an easy way to change up your lines to make them perfect there. And so once you make your box here, on the left-hand side in the menu bar, go ahead and click your direct selection tool once more. And actually I zoom in here. Let's click it. And then what I want to do, I just want to move this line. So click where I want to move with the direct selection tool clicked. And I'm just going to kind of correct these lines just ever so slightly here to make it more, accurate. And now before I deliver these, of course, I add a disclaimer at the bottom once I put it through Lightroom saying, boundary lines for illustrative purposes only, all that fun stuff. Anyways, so here's my boundary line for this. I can go ahead and export this image and be satisfied with the boundary line on this image. However, I want to take it up a notch. And by doing that, we can create a shadow effect where it only saturates the property and desaturates everything around the property. And so to do that, you simply just, with the pen tool selected, simply go back to your shape or your boundary line, right click, make selection. When it asks you about the feather radius and the pop-up, as you see here, 10 is fine. Click 10. You will see the dancing little ants there. And when you see the dancing ants, go ahead and click select. Inverse to select everything outside of that box there. On the right-hand side, click adjustments, hue and saturation. And we want to crank the saturation down just like that. And now, once I desaturate everything around it, what I like to do is add a little bit of saturation to the property itself. And I can do that by simply clicking the shape, going back to adjustments, hue and saturation, and just raising it ever so slightly. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I have not put these images through Lightroom, so I'm going to enhance it, add texture, contrast, all that fun stuff once I put it in Lightroom. And now, since I already have an image with that boundary line, and it's pretty clear to see where the property is based on what is saturated and what is not, I'm simply going to click the eye and uncheck the shape because I don't need that anymore. I already have it. We already exported that. Now here we are with just a shadow box around the land. And now I'm going to do one more photo on a different angle. This was kind of crooked. I will correct that. So here's another angle here. Go ahead and click the pen tool once more. And I'm going to go ahead and make my estimated lines where I think it is. Here's a telephone pole, so it's pretty obvious where the boundary line is. A fence makes it obvious as well. And then a road. And so that is pretty good. That's basically as good as it's going to get. I'm not a surveyor, and so I'm just here to provide a reference, not exactness. And again, I put a disclaimer. You should too if you're messing with boundary lines, adding all this stuff, because people may not know that. Anyways, So there's my boundary lines. Again, I can go up here, press file, export, all that fun stuff. But again, I want to enhance it by doing that shadow box. So just like before, go back to your line here or your shape, right click, make selection, feather radius 10 pixels. That's all right. Once you see the dancing ants, go back up to select, inverse to select everything outside of the property, adjustment, hue and saturation, crank the saturation down. And remember, just to spice it up a bit, once you desaturate everything outside the property, go ahead and click your shape again, or in this case, a property. Click the shape, adjustments, hue and saturation once more. And let's add a little bit more life there because everything else is black and white. Let's make a little bit more life there. And just like before, since I already have an image with the red boundary line around it, I'm going to simply click the eyeball to remove that red line because I don't need it. You could choose to keep it. And so that's how you add the shadow box effect. And now I do want to show a fun little trick that you can do if you want to kind of take it up a notch from here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from 0, and I'm going to do that by just removing everything that I made there. Now we're back at just the background. So again, I'm going to click my pen tool. I'm going to make my rough lines here. All right, we're good to go. And now you may be like, I just don't want lines. I want something more, a little bit more oomph in it, if you will. And so once you make your lines, you can do that. Simply click the fill. Right now, mine's on transparent. You can click it to anything you want. You can just black it out or red it out in this case if you like. But that's not what I'm showing you. On the right-hand side, if you click opacity, you can do like half. You can do something fun like this to just kind of create a little bit more excitement with your aerial images, especially when it's some boring land, as this example here. And so you don't have to keep it red. Just keep changing any color you would like. You can maybe make this transparent and keep the interior or, the boundary a different color as you want. And just like before, I can just right click on the line, make selection, put the feather radius as 10, go back up here to select, inverse the whole shebang, go to adjustments, hue and saturation, and I can crank that saturation, down to make it look like it has some nuclear effect, if you will, on this land. So the sky's the limit, literally what you can do in Photoshop. This is just a super simple way that I do to add lot lines, boundary lines, that shadow effect around videos. As always, thank you for watching.